using the system unit 2. All right. Hopefully everyone can see this okay without any issue. Okay. Always got to share going. Okay. All right, so we will look at, again, logging in and logging out of the system in, shall we say, the most graceful manner. We'll look at the structure, the state and structure of X commands, command, flags, arguments, right? And then we'll look at some basic X commands and also commands built into the system as far as allowing us to communicate with other users. Normally we don't see those commands like talk and wall and all that being used in normal environments. Again, these are things that's actually part of or inherent in the actual operating system, okay? So logging in and logging out of our particular system, okay? We said earlier that every user should have a unique user ID and unique password, hopefully. So now that user at the login prompt, when they're presented with the login prompt, logs in this case, Team 01, and someone has an open mic, just go ahead and make sure your mics are muted, okay? Has logging in as Team 01. And then, of course, they supply the password. The password should not be displayed. In other words, it should not be visible as far as the actual password. And then at this point, notice the actual prompt that an ordinary user has. Okay. Okay. Ordinary user has. Here we go again. Okay. All right, let's do this. Okay. All right. Try it like this. Okay. Notice the prompt that an ordinary user has. Okay. Dollar sign, right? Dollar sign, excuse me. Pound symbol, typically root user or super user has by default. Okay. Ordinary users have the dollar sign by default. In this case, Team 01 is not an, shall we say, an authoritative user, a user with authority, shall we say a system user or some type of super user. So therefore, their prompt would be a pound prompt, okay? So again, logging into the system successfully. Then we logging out of the system successfully. 3 different methods. Most of us choose to exit, but again, you could choose log out. Some use Control D. I kind of stay away from using control characters, just me personally. They get me in trouble. But I can remember the word exit or log out, right? That logs me out of the system, okay? Or exits me or logs me out of the system. And that returns me to the actual primary login prompt that's presented at that particular terminal. Now again, as far as when I successfully log in, okay? There are different commands that I can execute, for example. Let's clear this. Okay. And let's go to a different share. Let's say, for example, I logged into the system, okay? If I type in, who am I? And we'll look at these commands in this particular unit. It tells me that I'm logged in as a user root, okay? If I want to know all the other users who logged into the system, I would just simply type in who. So again, we'll be looking at these commands as we move along through this particular unit. Now, if I wanted to log out, which I don't want to do at this point because then I have to go back to Citrix and all, I would just type in either exit or log out. Some customers, you know, they like using control characters, Control D, but exit and login are pretty easy to remember if you have not done this before, okay? Now again, keep in mind that this is basic security authorization methods. This is not any Kerberos or any expert, if you will. Simply, this is what we call C2 level security, base security provided on a system. Basic user, authenticated user, basic password, okay? No other additional authentication methods are presented with this type of login, all right, that we see here. All right, passwords. Now, of course, as a user, once you assign a password, you could change that password by simply typing in the password command. Okay, okay. So the password command allows you to change your password. Notice here, change in password for Team 01. Team01's old password must be known in order for Team01 to change their password. And then you can actually type in the new password and re-enter your new password. So in other words, you being an ordinary user, notice the $, will always be prompted for your own password when you want to change your password. As an admin user, administrator, if you will, I can use the pwd adm command, the password admin command, which, again, okay. Let me go back and make sure that I'm sharing the screen specifically. Okay. I can actually use the pwd adm command, all right, which is this command here. But again, you have to be a root user or member of security group in order to use this particular command, because the pwd adm command will not prompt you for the old password, which means that if you're a root or member of a security group, you authorize a change or modify other users' password without knowing that previous password. But once again, ordinary users, if you will be prompted for their old password in order to generate a new password. All right, everybody good with that? Okay, so let's clear our drawings. Okay, move to the next screen. Okay, so command format. Now we just can't type in commands any method, any way we want. Okay, all right. So therefore, the commands have a specific format on the command line as far as what the shell looks for. And this is the typical command format. Again, typical, there's always changes or variations. But our typical command format, if you will, is simply the actual command. If we want to present any options, or if our command has options that we would like to use, then the optional options, and then followed by the argument. So it's always, most of the time, 99% of the time, in this manner, format-wise: command, options, arguments. There are very few exceptions to this. Okay? For example, we have 4 different examples here. ls command, in other words, the command without any options. So we can kind of draw a little arrow there, right? So this shows us command without any options. Second example here shows us commands with the -L option, a long listing of all the files in the current directory. All right. Then we have they kind of color coded this for us. Okay. We have our third example here is a command and an argument, no options. Okay. And then finally, the last example we have there is ls command, option -L, could be multiple options specified, but also the argument follows last. So most of the time, the argument is always last on the command line. All right. So command, options, if you want to use any options, and then argument, if you have any arguments presented. Notice that you don't have to provide arguments all the time. You don't have to provide options at every command. Simply type in the command. The ls command simply will list all the files in or within the current directory. All right. Yep. All right, so let's clear all drawings. Do this by the numbers. Okay. Now, here's some command format examples here. Okay. The incorrect way, or what they call here the wrong way, and then the potential right way as far as the command. Okay. So just take a look at this for a moment. Okay, you kind of see what's going on here. Separation, in other words, the customer utilized incomplete separation of the commands. So let's look at here. So separation, so they presented the command, then they have options, but they separated the option, a dash, then a space, and then an F, then space, and then argument. Now, what will happen is the shell will try to interpret this F here as an argument because there's a space between the dash and the F. So therefore, that would be the wrong way, and you probably wouldn't get the result or achieve the result that you were expecting by specifying a command in this manner. The correct way would be the command -F, or option F, in this case, no space in between, then space, argument, new mail. All right. Second wrong example here, who command, and then no space between the command and the option. So now the shell says command not known. It'll return. The correct way would be command who, and then the option dash lowercase u. So this is looking at separation first. Our second of this, as far as command execution, would be the order. The order is important. Remember, we said the order is command, option, and then argument if it needs to be specified. So now we're looking at the mail command, and then the argument new mail, and then the option is third. The order, correct order should be command mail, option dash F, argument new mail. Here the order also out of order. We have the argument first, command second. No, the command mail should be first. The argument team01 should be second on the command line. Here we have the option first and then the command. No, it should be the command first, then any options that we want to present for that command. Okay. So separation, order. Also, how to handle multiple options on a single command line with a single command. So we have a single command, who, but we have multiple options. If there are multiple options and you are using dashes, there should be a space between the dash M space dash U. You can combine most commands, option, that is most command options, but again, there's always exceptions. But with our first example here, separate the actual options, dash M space dash U. Okay. Now, who dash M space U. The shell looks at this as what? Command, option, and then an argument, even though our intent was that the U is an option. So we either need to combine it with the dash lowercase m or separate it like we did it here with the space dash lowercase u. Not all options can be combined. Sometimes when we look at the man page, it says you can use either dash M or dash U, but they can't be used together as an example. But in this case, the dash M and U can be used together. It's permitted by the actual shell. Fourth example here, as far as command format arguments, multiple arguments on the command line. Now, you could have a user whose name is team01, team02, but our intent was to send a mail message to team01 and team02. Okay? So again, this is not totally out of the question. It's just, what is our intent? Was our intent to send a message to team01, the user team01 and team02? If it was, then this is incorrect. But if we're specifying multiple arguments correctly, it should be what? Command, argument 1, argument 2, or user 1, user 2, if you will. Okay. All right. And again, this is a key thing. There are always exceptions. For the most part, this is what we always see. But there could be exceptions within our environment. Okay. Any questions about any of these examples thus far? For the most part, fairly straightforward, right? For the most part. The simple order is what? Let's clear our drawings first. The simple order is command, options, arguments. Okay. Okay. So making sure our order is correct, making sure our separation is correct. If there are multiple options, making sure those options can be combined. If not, we have to separate those with a space. Okay. But again, you can combine some options. Again, there's always exceptions to this. That's the key down here phrase. There are exceptions. The date and calendar command, simply built in. Handy command, you can look back at the date up into year 1, if you will. In other words, year 1, the first year as far as after, if you want to call it BC, the year 1 AD, if you will. Okay. So the date command can be utilized to show us any date, okay, from, shall we say, year 1, if you will, to the current year, 2017. So checking the current date and time that is set on this particular system. So simply type in the date command, all right? And it will display for us the currently set system date and time. Again, CET is just Central European Time in this case, all right? Or if we want to look at a specific month within a specific year, looking at a specific month within a specific year, we use the cal command. Month 1 would be January. We want to see the month of January 2015. Okay? So the command, okay, and then the arguments, the month and the year in this case. So it's showing us January 2015. Or if we want to look at all the months in a specific year, cal 2015, and it will show us, for example, all of the months in the year 2015, day by date within those months. All right. All right, keeping in mind that, again, there's always things, but the date and the cal command. Okay? And in the lab, they will have for you, and we'll just experiment with this right now. Let's clear out all the drawings, making sure that we don't have anything. And we'll have a new share. Come on, you can do it. Hopefully I didn't lose it. Okay. Calendar. So where's got my stopwatch? All right, I'll come back to that. Okay, thank you. All right, so let's just say, for example, all right, and this is a truism, okay? Let's say calendar for the year 1752. Should be something like that, okay? All right. This is the calendar for every month, the 12 months of the year 1752. January, everything looks all right, right? Until we get down to September. What's wrong with September? Okay, you got the first, the second,
Edwin?
and then we're missing about 12 days, right?
We're not seeing the screen.
You're not seeing that screen?
Thank
Okay. All right. Let me stop this share and share once again. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Now I got the green around it. That should show. Hopefully now you guys see
There
the
we go.
screen now. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I always feel better when I see this border around. I don't know if you can see that green border. Okay. So notice here, September. This is the year 1752. All right. Once again, I just want to make sure we synced up. This is the year 1752. All right. And we come down to the month of September. We have the first and the second. Then we're missing what? The 3rd through the 13th. Is something wrong with that calendar?
Definitely.
Okay. What's wrong with it? It's historical.
It's
Okay.
the Pope's fault.
It's the Pope's fault. Okay. Who said that, Rowena?
Yes.
It's the Pope's fault, right? Pope Gregory, right? So yeah. He readjusted the calendar. It took what, 12 or 13 days away from the year, right? In 1752, Gregorian calendar, excuse me, right? I just wanted to display that because, again, you can look back and see certain dates and things, how, the change of what day potentially did that particular event occur on back in the year 1752 or this or that. So what happens with anyone who had birthdays on September 3rd, 4th through 13th? I don't know what happens after that. They have to celebrate a different day, but this is true historical, okay? Like Rowena said, this is from Pope Gregory, readjusting to the Gregorian calendar back in 1752, okay? All right, just something to kind of break the monotony here. So let's go back to a new share, okay? Okay, all right. Okay, and you all can see the date and cal command screen, right? Everybody can see that, okay? Being displayed, checking the date, looking at the month, looking at the year. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Clear echo banner. You will see a lot of usage of this, especially this week. Okay, clear echo banner, a little bit just in the lab environment as far as doing some little things there. But clear command, the clear command clears the terminal screen. In other words, whatever characters are currently on your particular terminal screen, the clear command will actually clear those characters from the screen. The echo command, sometimes people use the print command, but echo is more widely used. Echo command will write whatever characters follows it to the screen. So in this case, the echo command, and then the characters lunch is at 12 will be displayed on the screen. Sometimes you'll see the echo command being used to display the value of a variable, for example, or in this case, the echo characters on the current screen. In this case, lunch is at 12 p.m. You can also see this. Let me bring up a new share. Okay. And you'll see it more appropriately, if you will, in our environment, okay, when we utilize this later. For example, I have an alias set up, so if I just type in some characters, okay?
We still can't see you.
You still
Yeah,
can't see it?
your screen isn't being shared.
Okay. I feel better now because I see the green border once again, okay? Now, you notice that I typed in some characters up here, blah, 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 this and that, okay? Now, if I type in lowercase c, in my case, okay, notice lowercase c clears the screen because we'll talk about this later in later units, but I've set up aliases, okay? So if I type in the alias command, why did it go backwards? So if I type in the alias command, it displays for me currently the aliases that are set up, okay? All right, for my particular shell. So I set up an alias that clear is equivalent to typing in the letter C. So anytime right now that I hit the letter C at my command line, it will clear all the characters from that screen. So demonstrating that, I type in lowercase c, and notice that it clears all the characters because I have an alias set up, okay? Or if I want to display the value, and let me move this over so you can see the command, the echo command. If I want to display the value of the term variable, the terminal value variable, it displays for me the current value. So in other words, I can use the echo command to, like they have here, to write what follows to the screen, but I can also use the echo commands we'll see in like unit 5, unit 6 to actually display the value of a variable. Variable is always prefaced with the $sign under the corn shell. So the variable term variable or display variable, whatever variable that I have, again, the value of that particular variable will be displayed. Or if I echo the time zone variable, hopefully it gives me that. See? Have the Olsen time format, America, New York. So that's the time zone variable that's set on this particular system, okay? So any variable can also be displayed with the echo command, but primarily they're speaking about here, echo command will write out to the screen what follows. Or we'll see it in the use of a shell script on Friday, as far as the echo command will be used to, we'll search through some files, this and that, and then display by using the echo command, display this out to a terminal or display or write this out to a file. So the echo command has various functions, if you will, that we can utilize, display the value of a variable or to write what follows to the screen. And then of course the banner command, whatever follows it as far as characters, will write these characters in large letters to the screen, okay? So let me stop sharing this one, okay? And everyone should be able to see clear echo banner commands, right? That's the screen you're looking at right now, correct? I'm just double checking.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure that you
Correct.
that. Yep, but thanks for keeping up with as far as, because there's some delay sometimes when I go back to that. It's just a putty, it seems to be whenever I go back to that screen, for some reason it takes some time to catch up, about 10 or 15 seconds. Okay? But thank you for letting me know that. So again, clears the screen, echo, again, banner will write out to the screen, to the specified screen or display or terminal, if you will, the characters that follows that command banner in very large letters. Okay. So again, we go to this activity here, questions and answers. Okay. Questions and answers. Okay, what is wrong with the following commands? What is wrong with the following commands? All right, we can kind of tell what basically utilizing what we saw here, command format examples. Okay, what's wrong with these commands here? What's wrong with
For
these?
for A, you're
Yeah.
missing a minus sign.
You're missing a dash or a minus sign and a space in between, probably, right? Yep.
You might have it. It just you can't really tell.
You can't really tell, right? But at least you're missing what? The minus sign, right?
Yes.
Potentially. Okay. Because again, we're looking at those as two different options, right? Okay. So it should be something like this. Let me write it in. Okay, come here. You can do it. Okay, it should be something like this, right? We'll use a $sign, DU, and then dash S, dash K, right? Okay. Or we could combine them if the options are permissible, whereby we can combine the options. We can do something like this, DU, and then dash SK, right? If the options are permissible.
If they're permitted.
Permitted to be combined, exactly. All right, what's wrong with B?
A separator.
Space.
Need a space separation, right? DF and then space dash K. Okay. Otherwise, the shell is going to try to interpret that as a whole command. Okay. All right. Then the last command. What about it?
Again, need a space between the A and the minus.
Yeah, dash A and dash K. Okay. Or again, if they're permitted to be used together, it could be what? Oops.
A minus AK.
Yep, minus AK. Okay. If they're permitted to be used together. Okay. All right, very well. Question 2, which command allows you to modify or change your password?
That's the pass WD
Password.
command.
Pass WD.
Okay. Okay. Password command. And what did we say about that? The password, and it left a P to me. Okay. The password command. The password command always does what? Prompts you for what? Your old password, right?
Yes.
And if you're an administrative user, you can use the PWD ADM command, which will not prompt you for the old password. But again, that's root or member of the security group. Okay, what command did we look at clears the screen?
Clear.
Clear. Yeah, the C was an alias for me, right? Okay, yeah, but clear, the clear command. And question C, or option C here, prints the currently set system date and time.
Would be print and then space date.
Okay, or just date, right?
Yes, because if it's current, it's going to print out the today's date.
Today's date is currently set on that particular system, right? Exactly. Okay. And what commands allow you to exit the current shell?
There's three
Exit
possible,
or log off.
Okay, exit, log off.
or
Okay.
Control D, but
Exit, log off, Control D can get you in trouble. Some of you probably find it out sometimes, right? Oh, I got something like that, right? Or Control D. Okay, we won't discount that, but sometimes control characters, depending upon how the keyboard is set up, can offer a little challenge to you. Okay. Okay. Any questions about activity on this particular screen here?
none.
None. Okay. All right. Everyone's staying awake so far, because I'm watching the other screen every once in a while. I see no eyes or hear any snoring, so that's good. All right. Let's see. Catch up with the screens here on my other screen. Sync these things up. Okay. Okay. This is figure 2-9. Okay. Finding out who is currently logged in on this particular system that you are logged into. Okay. One of the commands that we're going to utilize is the who command without any options in this case, without any options. Okay. We'll point out. So the who command tells us currently, okay, the users that are currently logged in on this particular system. It shows you what? The username, the terminal number that they're logged in onto or through, the date and time that they actually logged in, and then the actual IP address from which they actually logged in through. All right. Okay. Now, the second example here with the who command, the uppercase H with who command, at least with AIX, is relatively new, okay? Relatively new, the uppercase H command. So what does this show us, okay? Because let me do this first, okay? I'll show you the difference between without the uppercase H and with uppercase H, okay? So let's clear all drawings, save this. Now, there might be a delay, but let me know if there are, okay? Now I need to share that. Okay, all right. Let's do the who command without the uppercase H, okay? Okay. Notice my line output, okay? All right. Then let's do the who command with the uppercase H. Okay. All right. Okay. Notice the output.
Yes, it's showing the host name now, or whoever's on that host.
Okay. Okay. Gives you what? The host name, who's ever on that host, but then it gives you what? Name, line, then time, right? Activity. But we have kind of like a new option, but it shows me primarily what? That host name, the process ID on that host name on that. So it gives me the host name, okay, that particular user is logged into. All right. Which again is kind of strange, but I know why, because we logged in through the Citrix server and then into the actual LPAR. All right. So that's what we have here, okay? With this here, with the uppercase H gives me a little bit additional information, okay? Displays some header information, really, that's all it really is doing for each column, as opposed to like who here does not show me header information, but uppercase H shows me that along with the process ID and host name for that. Yeah. That's the big difference there, okay? That's one command that we can utilize to show us, display for us this. So let me, I won't stop sharing, I'll go new share this time. Okay, and we're back to the screen. You can see the who and the finger commands. If you see anything different, let me know, okay? All right, so now we're displaying information about users who are currently logged in. Now the finger command can kind of display two different aspects depending upon the options you use. It can be used to display all the users currently logged in, or to get information, obtain information about a specific user is the finger command. That's what we see here, okay? So finger and then team02 shows us the login name, directory, okay? Everybody's following me, everything is okay, no problems, right? Except, all right, let's do this. Here's that delay again, okay? So not new share, so. Let's try it again. Okay, you all see my screen okay, right? As far as displaying information, who, the finger, all that, correct? Hopefully.
From the textbook or from the?
From the actual slide, from the visual, you can see the who command
Yes.
and all that.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Yeah, there's a delay in the annotate for some reason, okay. Let's see if we can choose that. Nope. Okay, anyway, just work with this. Okay, so finger, then specifically for team02, we can see the login name, team02 directory, and then we can see the shell that this particular user logged into, USR bin KSH, then this user's been logged in on here since that, and this is the number as far as minutes, hours, and seconds. Then it gives us some idle time as far as when is the last time that particular user kind of hit a keystroke, and there are no additional plans that this user has visible for us. So the finger command provides a little bit more detailed information about either all the users or a specific user who's currently logged in to that particular system, okay? I'm just trying to see. Getting a delay there. Okay. I want to stop share.
What exactly does the no plan mean?
Because a user could have a plan whereby it's working, let's just say, example, Team 02 is currently out to the meeting, blah, 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 has meetings between this and that, working on this particular project. So they can kind of put that in their user information as far as what, any planning information that they may have for that particular day, week, or whatever, okay? In this case, they're saying that there is no plan information that Team 02 has submitted, okay, to the system anyway.
I gotcha. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem, yeah. But normally, most customers use other methods to notify if you have some type of plan, okay? All right. I'm just playing with the screen here. Everyone sees the screen okay, right? Right? Who and finger commands, right? All that, okay? Because I'm getting a different indication on my end, okay? Okay. Mail, okay? Now, this is the archaic mail system that's built into the actual AIX operating system, if you will, okay? Now, normally, we use some other method of mail notification, okay? This is built into the OS, what we're speaking about here on the next couple of pages, all right? So mail here to Team 01. Type in the subject, meeting, and then your text. You just type in, there will be a brief announcement meeting in room 602 at noon. If that's all the characters you have to type, then hit Control D. You could carbon copy other users, okay? After this, $, presented back with the shell prompt. Again, we don't use, normally nowadays, we don't use this built-in mail system like this, okay? This is sending mail to Team 01 on the same host, okay? Or we can send mail to a user at a different host, which we can connect to. In this case, mail to Team 20, who's at the host name system 2. Subject, don't forget. Then we type in whatever message we want Team 20 to read. Don't forget about the meeting today. Control D, no carbon copy. We'll present it back to the prompt. So let's see how this looks after the mail message has been sent. So in order to actually understand, do you have any mail as far as what the operating system, okay, has generated? We just type in the mail command, all right? It tells me the mail command, tells me my X version. If I need any help, type in a question mark for help. Let's see if I can get my arrow back now.
Your display is still on the finger and who.
See, that's exactly the delay, okay? Thank you. Okay, what about now?
Yeah, that's the mail. It's the mail display now.
Okay, the mail display now, yeah. And that's exactly what I was, because now, watch this. There's some kind of little delay, so now I can use my arrow, okay? That's what I was seeing, all right. That took a little bit longer to recover from. All right, so mail. So in other words, just typing in mail command, we have new mail. So we see here, mail is contained for Team 01 in the bar spool directory. And it has 2 messages. One of the messages in my mailbox is new. One of those is unread. The new message is always has a, shall we say, right pointing arrow, and then it has the uppercase N for new. There are different symbols that are used in the built-in mail facility within AX. So the unread message is number 1 from Team 05. Then the new message, which was sent to me, is about the meeting. So now we can use different subcommands in mail. For example, lowercase t. Doesn't make any sense, but lowercase t will display, if you will, the actual mail message followed by the number. So in other words, display message number 2. So T2, as opposed to 1, will display the mail from Team 02. Talks about the meeting. The subject is meeting. That will be a brief announcement meeting, the same text that the user sent to, in this case, Team 02. All right. Now, what actions do we want to take in mail? At this point, do we want to delete the mail message? We can simply type in lowercase t. Okay. Or do we want to quit the mail command altogether? Okay. Okay. Or do we need help? Okay. So in other words, what actions do we want to take after or while we are in mail? So in this case, the customer chooses to delete the mail message. You can use the lowercase m to forward a mail message, or lowercase s to append. So there are different subcommands that we can utilize as far as within this built-in mail facility. Keeping in mind that we're probably in most cases not using what's built into the OS. We're using some other mail facility, which is a lot more efficient and a lot better, more enhanced in our case. But we're looking at the basics of X in this case. All right? So let me clear all the drawings. Okay. Yeah. Receiving mail. Okay. So now we should have the right and the wall command. Another way typically that we don't use to send messages to other users on our systems, okay? So the right command provides, as we see here, conversation-like communication with another logged in user, provided that they haven't closed it out, which we'll talk about on the next screen. So in this case, write a message to team 01. So in other words, this is kind of like the precursor, if you will, to instant messaging and all that, where we can write back and forth, send and receive messages. This is built into the OS, but it's the write command. All right. The wall command, believe it or not, the shutdown command in X, in other words, to shut down the actual LPAR, the shutdown command utilizes the actual wall command. Wall is just an acronym really for write all. So in other words, it writes messages to all terminals currently logged into. And again, this command can be useful even still nowadays. As I mentioned, the shutdown command calls wall, but the wall command could be utilized telling all the users currently that the system will be inactive starting at 10 p.m. today. And that's broadcast to every terminal that's currently logged into. All right. Again, third time, the shutdown command by default calls the wall command to let every user know that the system is about to be shut down. Talk, again, another feature that we typically don't use in our modern X operating systems. Okay. Again, we use some other feature outside of this, but again, this talks to user Fred. Just can establish connection. They can talk back and forth, okay? Because again, talk to John to accept the invitation from Fred, okay? And you can go back and forth. But if I, as a user, do not want anyone trying to send me a write message, a wall message, or a talk message, I can go into my terminal, into my dot profile, really is what is currently being set, and type in MESG, okay? And it tells me the current status is set to yes, which means someone can send me a write, a wall, or a talk, okay? But now, when I set this to a no, MESG equals no, that means that when someone tries to write a wall message or write to me, permission gets denied because I'm not using these methods to communicate. So you can disable this function because it is enabled by default. Okay. All right. Okay. Keyboard tips. Okay. This is Corn Shell, to be more specific. Corn Shell keyboard tips. This is not for every keyboard, and I'll just put this over here since I can't move that bar, okay? These are more specifically Corn Shell keyboard tips. All right. Backspace can be used to correct any mistakes potentially. Control C, equivalent to signal 2, terminates the current command and returns to the current shell. Control D, remember we can log out of our system like that, end of transmission or end of file. Control S, Control Q. You typically don't see that too much anymore. Temporarily stop an output of a file. If the file is more than one screen long, several screens long, we can kind of stop it, try to stop it at that point, and then Control Q to resume that output. All this can be stopped by Control C. And Control U will allow us to erase the entire line again. These are Corn Shell typical keyboard tips, all right? Any questions about anything to this point? Let's clear all my drawings. Mm-hmm.
Edwin,
Yes, go ahead.
what's the difference between Control C and Control Z?
Control C and Control V is in Victor.
Oh no, Z as in zebra.
Oh, Control Z. Okay, that Control Z, if I'm clear, suspends a foreground process like Control Z is used to suspend in job control. Control Z, kind of like if you have a job running in foreground, if we issue Control Z, that should actually place that job in the background. Yeah.
Okay.
As far as keyboard, Control Z.
Thank you.
If that's how you remember it or recall it, yeah, Control Z, probably use that for that function.
Right, when
Yeah.
I run something too long and
Right.
it freezes, I just do Control Z.
Which takes the job from foreground to background. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No problem. That's a good question because again, we don't see all those tips here on this particular screen. Okay. All right. Did it that time. Okay. Hey, checkpoint. All right. Okay. Let's see where we are. Okay. All right. So we'll kind of follow the same format that we followed before. At this point, we'll take about a 10-minute break. We'll come back and look at the checkpoints. Okay. And then at our next break, we'll probably go to lunch. And while we're at the next break, lunch break, after this next break, we'll go to lunch. I'll send to you the documentation or the spreadsheet. We'll review that together. And then after lunch, we'll review the spreadsheet. And then we'll enter our first lab exercise, which again is associated with this unit, which is exercise 1, even though we've done 2 units. There was no exercise 1 for, if you will, unit 1. All right. But after the break, we'll come back and take care of this. So for right now, we'll go with the new share. Yeah. And I love this when I see the green border around it because I know it should be, without a doubt, sharing. And we'll take a 10-minute break here and we'll come back, do the checkpoint, then continue to unit 3. At our next break after that, we'll go to lunch and then we'll come back and go to our first lab exercise in the early afternoon. Okay. All right. See y'all in about 10 minutes. Okay, just checking the mic. Okay. All right, we'll continue with our checkpoint for unit 2. And once again, we'll continue into unit 3. At our next break, we'll be going to our meal break, lunch, if you will, at that time, which should be about 1:30 Eastern, okay, which will make it about 9:30, 10:30 Pacific out there for Rowena. All right, so checkpoint. And okay, so what is the correct command syntax of these 4 options? Potentially only one is the most correct answer. Which of those is the most correct? A, B, C, or D?
D, but we have the answers on the screen.
Yeah, the answer's on the screen. I'm looking at the checkpoint here with no answers. Okay, let's Oh man, what do we have here? New
Maybe I
share.
shouldn't have said anything.
Okay, let's see. All right, is that better?
Yeah, now we're not seeing the answers.
Which is crazy. I was seeing this same screen, okay, and I was sharing that screen, but you saw the one. Okay, I'll leave that alone. Okay. All right. So question number one. So you already got the answer to that one. So that was D, right? Again, why is that? Because we have the command, the option, and then of course the argument. Okay. Internally within the X operating system, internally, what's built into the OS? What command would we use to send mail items to? That would be what? The mail command, right? Okay. And what other commands that are built into the OS, being X, built into, that can be used to communicate with other users? We saw what we mentioned, the wall, right?
Talk.
Talk,
Right.
right? Okay. Among others, right? Okay. Question 4, think about this one. Think about it. What command output would you expect from the following command, cal 8?
It's the
It'll be
year
a
8.
calendar from the year 8, right? And some people say nowadays AD, but also what, 8 common era, whatever you want to call it, but here AD common era. But again, calendar for the year 8, cal 8 for the year 8. And question 5, depending upon your answer, it could be more than one answer. Which command would you use to find out when a particular user logged in?
You can use who or the finger username.
Yep. You can use who. Who will tell you all users currently logged in, right? Or since they mentioned particular user, we can say finger followed by that specific or particular username, right? So either one should be appropriate. So now let's put up the answers on the next screen. And this is what you were always seeing before, right? All right. Okay. All right. And we'll come back to the exercise after lunch, after our third break. So logging in and logging out of the system, okay, state the structure, the basic structure of our X commands, and also utilizing basic commands like cal, the date command and such, among others we showed also, echo, and also commands, that is AIX commands that we can utilize that are built into the system to communicate with other users, such as wall or write or talk, for example. Commands that we typically don't use nowadays. All right. So let's go to a new share. Let's stop. Let's kill that one.